Tony Picente is in here this morning. All that. There's a reason for everything.
I'm sure there is.
Even though it doesn't seem like it.
I'm sure.
Good morning, County Executive.
Good morning. Good morning.
So you've been busy. There have been a lot of things happening.
We have.
This animal abuse
Abuser Registry.
So this is kind of like the sex offender registry.
It is.
It's similar.
It's similar. It's almost identical in that regard. They're required to, anyone who's convicted of misdemeanor of abuse is required to register with to the registry in the sheriff's office, and within I think it's 48 hours thereabouts, and if not, then there's fines.
And the beauty of this, when you think about it, is it really has nothing to do with, we're saying, well, what about a rabbit? What is a pet? How do you don't have to define anything.
No,
if you're convicted of animal abuse,
right.
You are.
It's defined, and the law is
the courts handle it.
Yeah, the law is, but the law, and it's a local law, and I've struggled with local laws over time.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this because you want to make, because we're limited in what we can do on
right.
the local level as opposed to the state level because of misdemeanors and such. That's all. We can't do felony.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do felony laws. But the other concern I have is enforceability and prosecution of it. And so it took, as we said at the press conference the other day, took us a while. We've been working on this for, between my office, the county attorney's office, district attorney's office, the sheriff. I mean, it's taken a while to look at other pieces around the state, look at the state law. How does that vary? And the state law is pretty vague and pretty blind to some of this.
I could see this being something that would be passed statewide. Some sort of a registry that if you're abusive to animals.
Counties are, Albany County did it, so I know that there are others looking at it. So it's probably something that will it garner the attention of a legislature, the legislature, possibly one of ours, and could be something that and really probably should be.
Yeah. Sadly, these stories, when you see people that are able to abuse an animal, oftentimes they're people who it's one of those warning signs of someone who can be violent to people.
Well, one of the things, clearly, one of the things, and I highlighted that the other day as well, that, and it's been said time and time again, that if you are, we have seen that in violence to animals, that there are violence possibly in the homestead, or vice versa. When there's violence in the homestead, there's violence to animals as well, and they go hand in hand, and one sometimes often starts with the family pet, unfortunately, and then leads to other things. But other than that, there are some that just abuse animals. And it was interesting the other day, just the video captured at the Humane Society of someone just throwing a cat out the window of a car.
That cat was just, I believe the story today is the cat was just adopted.
So the DA talked about this at the announcement, and you did as well, lobbying Albany for some state laws on this. I just find it interesting, so I guess is more commentary than a question. They were willing to take up this deer hunting thing, right? Or you couldn't fish.
No, they didn't end up taking it up. It was something that was proposed. I believe it was proposed. I don't think it even passed the assembly. So it was outlawing, basically banning competitive hunting
to include
in New
fishing?
York State. No, it didn't include fishing.
Okay.
But people who were worried about this bill feared it could include fishing.
Okay, I
but
guess
remember,
I'm just noting.
There was just a guy who was arrested and charged with animal abuse because he left the apartment and abandoned a goldfish. He was charged with animal abuse for that. So it is all in the eyes of the beholder, I guess.
It is.
Yeah.
But
I guess I was just noting that.
Well,
he indicated that they've tried to bring legislation there and advocate for some action on this to update the laws. He said it's gone nowhere, and I just find it ironic that they were worried about deer versus dogs and cats.
Yeah.
Well, we've been, as I said, we've been at the forefront of some of this for the last several years, and a couple years ago, actually, I think it was, there was an attempt to put in a tethering law, which we looked at, and I ended up vetoing that law and not because I didn't support it, obviously, but because it was just almost impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
And very difficult to prove, abuse in that regard
how long is that
how
dog
long
been
has that
out?
dog been
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and what are the conditions of which the dog or other pets or whatever, and then you get into the farm animal issue, which is totally different, and Ag and Markets has a different view of that in terms of what they look at, and so it really is when it comes to any of these issues, but particularly when it comes to animals, it's really a tough road to go down and figure out the best way, but I think we clearly believe we came up with something.
Well, in this,
really
you're
good.
relying on the courts. So if somebody is found guilty, it's just clear cut. You're found guilty of animal abuse, then you'd have to be on the list.
You do.
So
You do.
Someone also asked here, this is an email from Lorraine. I've asked her for further detail on exactly what she meant, but her question was, how would this law, would it be enforceable when it pertains to the Amish?
Well, laws are enforceable to everybody.
Sure.
So
Okay.
there's no.
I don't know if she means
there's no
overdriving
exemption.
horses.
There's no
or-
Well,
exemption.
it goes
Well,
back.
some of the questions are on agriculture, depending on again,
goes
if
back
you're talking about
to-
farm animals, then and if they are outside, I mean it's different. A cow is different than
I even brought up how
a
a,
dog. You can talk to the sheriff, who's the gentleman farmer there. and
how
they
a
can,
far- right.
go through all this.
how a
but,
farmer will handle a dog chasing a deer. A farmer will shoot the dog, and try that in your backyard in Marcy, and
that doesn't-
good luck
that
with that.
doesn't- that
There-
doesn't-
so there are different. It seems like laws are treated a little differently based on agriculture. But again, this law, this is the part that was glaring us right in the face that we didn't notice, is that this law is all about whether they're convicted. So
Sure.
you're just tacking on another potential
and
punishment, if you will.
And let's talk about what the intent is. So the intent is, because some may look at it. Well, the intent is, you're posting this registry of people who who abused, and maybe it wasn't their fault or whatever. If even though they were convicted, maybe it wasn't. Everybody always has a question on any kind of conviction. But the other point of it is so if you and the sheriff brought this up the other day. There was a gentleman, I forgot where, who was convicted of abuse of an animal. Got a conviction, went on, months later goes, buys another dog, adopts another dog, I'm not sure the circumstance, and leaves the dog in the car, and the dog dies of heat or suffocation. And what you're doing here too is preventing in letting these shelters, breeders, pet stores, etc., and just anybody who has, how many ads are in the paper for puppies, for this, for that, kittens, to look up and see that John Doe has been convicted of this, and I'm not going to sell. I'm not selling a dog to you, or a cat, or a rabbit, or whatever the case may be. So it's that intent is there, and that's a real prime.
It takes a lot to be. I think it takes a lot to be convicted of animal abuse.
It does.
It's not an easy conviction. So if you've been convicted of it, chances are it was something pretty egregious.
Well, but you look at it today too, and we've seen some of the real drastic cases, recently, but also when you have a video. I mean, today everything is posted at some point, and someone's always watching, and someone's always videoing. It's no different than with child abuse cases. You see people who see. Perhaps a parent, being roughed at a store or somewhere else, and right away the camera comes out. And,
well, especially with animal people. I mean, that stuff will go viral. I mean, we saw with the young man, it ultimately ended up being a lamb that he was cooking, but he did that video of what appeared to possibly look like a small dog, and the whole thing blew up and went viral
to get people going.
Yeah.
So this has to go to the legislature,
to the Board of Legislature,
and chances are this is something that would pass.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it will.
I want to talk about the budget, if we could, just a little bit. The state budget.
Absolutely.
I know you're not pleased. I want to go on a good, especially with this internet sales tax but I want to go. You have one Democrat now representing this area in Marianne Buttonshaw. She's kind of, when we spoke with her, she kind of has felt, based on her comments, that she didn't think that we were all that bad off, whether it comes to education, when it comes to some other issues. Sure. Where do you stand on that? And are you able to convince her that maybe this isn't as good as she thinks it is?
Well, which area you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the internet tax.
The internet sales tax, and this gets confusing for some people because they think it's a different tax.
Yeah.
All it is collecting sales tax from the internet sales, which is not done universally right now. Now, a lot of vendors, a lot of entities collect. If you buy on Amazon, if you're buying from Amazon, they're posting a sales tax.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, you buy from a third party on Amazon, because that's the way the system works, or even other vendors. They may not.
You might struggle getting
other online purchases. If you just Google something that you're looking for and it comes up from a particular vendor and you can order it online, there may not be a tax on it. This is instituting a tax across the board for New York State. So it's the sales tax that we currently collect on internet sales. So it's not a new tax.
Okay.
It's not anything different. It's just collecting. It's leveling the playing field, which is something that the counties have talked about for years, and we advocated for. Just for our business.
A business has to sell. Brick and mortar has to sell.
Right.
The
same
get
thing,
online. You can save.
Everybody
all
talks about. We went through this with different things over the years of leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that tax. Now, we've been fighting for that for the last few years now it's passed finally. So that's more revenue for counties.
However,
in theory.
However, stop right there for a moment, back up and say earlier in the year when the governor proposed his budget, he removed what is called AIM funding from towns and villages, not cities, but towns and villages. AIM is aid to municipalities, and that is a formula that's really based population-wise. It's a little bit of money for some towns, 5,000 or 10,000 here or there, but then a couple 100,000 on some bigger towns, depending on where they are. All total across Oneida County, because there are 26 towns, 17 villages, it's a little over $1 million when you add what they were getting. Governor takes that out of the budget, took it across the state, which I think was somewhere around the neighborhood of $59 million or somewhere in that realm. So of course there's cries out from the towns and villages as well as ourselves saying that's not right. You don't just put a budget together and we're cutting this immediately, but things get done in budget cycles. A lot of pressure comes on. Governor says, well, we're going to restore it in the 30-day amendments. We're going to restore the AIM funding. Everybody cheers. We're going to restore it by taking it out of the county share of sales tax, which then everybody doesn't cheer because that impacts us. Now, a lot of counties do not share their sales tax. Every sales tax formula is different around the state. They do not share with towns and villages or cities. We do. We do very generously, I would say. But now we're going to get hit on this county's end. The county share of the sales tax is going to be intercepted to make those payments to the towns and villages, with the theory that we've got this internet tax that we're going to start collecting again, which is going to give more money.
Right.
That's not how it works, and then that's really not. I mean, think about it for a moment. So, and you're saying you're going to be okay because you're going to get this money back. No,
what if it's
losing?
not?
We're losing money. We're losing money because we don't know that the internet tax is designed. The internet collection is designed to level the playing field, as I said. So there's going to be an offset there. Well, there could be more money. I don't know. We don't know how much.
What if there isn't?
What if there isn't, or what if it's below projections or whatever? But
do you have to make
more
that
likely
up?
it's we have to make that up. But at the same time, we're losing out of the county coffers. We're losing $1 million to the towns and villages. This is not about the towns and villages. It's about state government saying shifting. This is a classic cost shift, and that's where I disagree with the.
And this is
I
classic.
respect the Assemblywoman, but I disagree that and across the state, different legislators have said, well, because they went to the towns and villages, and said, you're getting your money back. It's been restored. No, it hasn't. It's been taken from us. My argument to the state is, okay, you got this new internet sales, which you're going to collect tax on. Take it out of your share.
Right.
Don't take it out of our share because we already. I mean, if you want to make it up, take it out of that share.
This is classic Cuomo. taking what
classic.
was a state responsibility and pushing it back to the
and then saying all is well.
Yeah,
but that that you're getting you're getting your money, and that's not. And we're we should, if there's more revenue that everybody can collect. It's all well and good.
I have about 2 minutes.
Sure.
Criminal justice.
Yeah.
This is something that Griffo and the sheriff have both come out against, whether it's the bail or the fact that there is no cash bail, whether it's mugshots, etc. Your take on all of this?
Yeah. Look, I often, 99.9% of the time, always stand with law enforcement in terms of their views on these things because of what we do each and every day. And so I do stand with them on this. And I think you look at bail. I mean, what was bail for? Everybody looks at, that this is supposed to be this is a money issue. It's not a money issue. Bail was established, and I think sometimes this gets lost in the translation.
Get people to show up for court.
To make sure they're going to come back. Yeah. And that's the goal here.
The sheriff brought up a good idea. So a drug dealer up here pushing heroin gets arrested. They're given an appearance ticket instead of jail and bail. And do you think they're going to stay here if they're from New York City? There's a good chance we're going to fight to get them back.
Well, I mean, regardless. I mean, there's depending on what type of crime. So that was the one thing, and the mugshot issue, which I've been reading. There's another article today, and that says, in fact, it's on the front page. I think that says it's not a requirement. It's kind of
the word may. The word may is there. Yeah.
Yeah. The district attorney's comment was that it does take away the transparency that everybody's talking about that needs to be seen. But at the same time, if media from whatever source is if people are going into a court of law and have been charged and convicted, you've already seen that.
Right.
And you know the name, and you know and in a lot of cases you know more about it. You know the entire case. You know the history of the individual, and then you're saying, well, we're not going to post.
If
anything,
post the
mugshot.
If anything, you've got the name, you would need the mugshot. So let's say it was William Keeler or something
Again,
like that.
I feel bad for all the other William Keelers.
They've got the name and no mugshot.
Well, and look, I know that. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
So.
Have you had a conversation with Marianne?
I have a couple. I mean, a couple, and then we've kind of agreed to disagree. And Marianne's short time. She's just been there doing a great job, and we have a great relationship. I just think they're lost in this argument and this confusion that, well, you're getting it back. Well,
right.
You're not getting it back if you're losing out on what you were supposed to get.
Same thing on the school numbers.
And the school. I mean, I confess. I confess.
You couldn't
completely. I mean, I know county budgets.
You might have to.
I mean, state budget or school budgets. I can't figure them out.
You might have to go back to college to figure out the
school aid
formula.
foundation aid,
it's
and
just crazy.
It really is, and each year they go through this, and it really is crazy.
It's like Groundhog Day. Every year it's the same story.
We all say it. There's got to be a better way. And maybe somebody will figure it out.
All right, good stuff. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
Can I just one more thing on the heroin situation? That was a disaster here for a while.
Terrible.
Has that calmed down?
There were two obituaries in the paper 2 days ago. Parents both had to bury their children for overdose from heroin.
Well, our statistics for the month of March were staggering. 51 overdose. Excuse me, 51 overdoses, 9 deaths.
Still terrible.
And the numbers. Has it calmed down? Yes, but it's not going away anytime soon. In those regards, I mean, we're still. Seeing, I think, when I see the numbers come in and we get reports each day, when I see a 0 come in on the day, it's like, oh, I mean, but then it's 2 or 4, 5, the next day. I mean, it's still up there.
Give me 30 seconds to explain. Do you remember was it Ithaca? They were going to have basically these dens where people could come in and shoot
supervised
heroin.
injection sites.
Right. Yeah. And I know Oneida County actually recently, you guys are putting in suntan lotion dispensers, right? Somewhere around the county. Yep. Is it something where you guys could be giving out? I want to say it's an EpiPen. The Narcan. Can you distribute Narcan to people?
We are doing Narcan training for people. We are, we have worked with different health aspects of distribution with with pharmacies and encouraging. We're going to do Narcan training. We're doing optional Narcan training for all of our employees because we have people coming in the building, but we have you just never know what happens in a day's time anywhere. So we're doing as much, and we'll be doing more, and we're going to have we're going to roll out. We had talked about it. I mean, next week we're rolling out the overdose response team, the total package of it, because we kind of got pushed out a little earlier because the numbers were so high 2 weeks ago, and we had to inform the public of what was going on. So we'll talk more about it next week.
You're at the wheelchair basketball tonight?
I am.
Great event.
Are you coming?
I'm there.
You're going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good.
I'm planning on wiping out again. I tend to.
You're gonna play. You're playing.
I'm playing
because last time, remember, we had Stefan getting the Keeler chant.
I do remember that. Yes, I remember that well. It was extremely embarrassing. All right. Thank you.
Tonight.